Hi, welcome to the Little Baby Bunny tutorial which accompanies your pattern. So I've casted on 13 stitches for the nose seam and I'm continuing to knit the front of the head increases at the moment. And there you can see how the shape is starting to come at the front of the head with those increases. I use KFB increases for mine, which is knit into the front and into the back of each stitch. I actually did a brief tutorial on that when I did the beginner's bunny. If you place, it's important to place markers, don't ignore them. You'll need them actually for later on when you come to the making up bit. There we go. That's part of the head done. Now I just carry on working up the front of the head and then eventually decreasing for the back of the head. That's two, pull two together, stitch, and then finish off that little last stitch at the end. So, place another marker. These are the jaw markers. And there you can see all the markers. Quite a lot of markers for the head, but then you'll lose them as you go along as you use up the markers. To join the seam at the front of the head, or the nose seam. So you have right sides together like this, so you're sandwiching those two halves together, and you're going to sew back stitch. Make a stitch, come back on yourself, make another stitch, come back on yourself, and continue right to the end. It's only a short seam, so it doesn't take too long. A couple of extra stitches just to hold that seam securely. And then turn out to the right side. And that makes quite a neat little seam for the front of the nose. Now I'm going to embroider sort of like a Y shape. You can use black or pink as I'm doing here for this, or whatever colour you like really. Brown maybe. So there's a white shape happening in a minute. There we go. Work it over double if you're using quite fine. This is very fine yarn. You can use sewing thread for it if you like. Or even wool, fine DK wool or something, could be fine as well. And then you can see that little upturned V that I mentioned in the pattern underneath that Y shape. There we go, little smiley face. And then fill in between those little top bits of the Y. You're going to fill in with some pink just to finish off the little nose, little rosebud nose. You'll notice as we go through this tutorial that to finish off my stitches, I always pass them through sort of another part of the knitting, like I did there. I do that all the time, and it seems it's a good way of securing things for me. So we've reached the ear part of the pattern. So this is for your left ear, so you'll find your ear front marker. and your ear back marker on the left side, the bunny's left. And you're going to pick up 8 stitches between those 2 markers. And there we go. So that's 8 stitches between those 2 markers. So you'll now work on those 8 stitches to produce the left ear. That's got those increases on either side, and then slowly decrease down to the last 2 stitches, which will just cut the yarn, thread needle through the last 2 and fasten off. That's your ear peak. Got your threaded up needle, and then you'll weave the end all the way down to the base of the ear, just to neaten it really, rather than having a yarn end at the ear peak itself. It's nice that you can lose it at the base of the ear. There we go, it's quite a neat little ear. The other ear, the right ear, works similarly, but you just pick up from the other way around markers, if you see what I mean. So you'll be picking, instead of from the front ear marker, you'll be picking up from the back ear marker. So we're going to join the seam that becomes the neck seam. So you're going to find your ear, working one ear at a time, fold it in half like that, right sides together, match those ear markers, so it's the back and the front ear marker, and then match your jaw marker with your head back marker. And now sew the seam. Both sides, and this should look like this. Turn the ear and the whole head inside, back to the right side out. Just push the ear through the little gap at the base of the ear. Both sides. And then you have your neck seam. Now, if you're not going to work inner ears, and that's entirely your choice, you might want to just work a little stitch right at the base of the ear, just to keep any stuffing in. So this is your eye position. If you wanted to use your toy eyes, you can pop them in now. Okay, we've done the head. So we're going to now add the back and the body. So go back to your markers. You should have 6 remaining markers. And we're going to start on Bunny's left side, so the nose facing towards you. And then you find your left chin marker, which was the very first marker that you placed. And you're going to pick up stitches all the way around from the left chin marker to the right chin marker, sort of leapfrogging from marker to marker. And there we have the picked up stitches straight across. That becomes the bunny's back. You're going to cast on stitches either side of those picked up stitches, which will become the bunny's front. As you can see with a little grey bunny, those casted on stitches become that sort of little bit underneath his chin. And in go those very important front markers. There we go, you'll definitely need those later on. So continue with the back. You will be working in creases until you get to the breast. And then you're going to cast on more stitches. And then you're going to work short rows. So we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Unwrap and turn. Continue with your short rows, work across to the other side, and then do exactly the same for the right side breast. I wish I could knit that fast, really. Anyway, so there we have it, and you can see that lovely shaping from the back and the breast with those short rows. So the next step is to work the back right the way down to the tail. You can have short rows for the hind leg seams and also more decreases for the back to get that lovely curve. I have to say, I absolutely love short rows, and I'm working them, and I love the effects that they give as well. So, well, that's why they appear in probably every single one of my patterns. Now when you're at the tail, you are going to cast off stitches either side of those tail stitches. And then you rejoin the yarn. I've rejoined it with white here, as you can see, to work the tail. There's the little tail, and that's going to be the first seam that you will sew. So with the tail, have the stitches the wrong side together and mattress stitch the row ends and the cast off end of the tail all the way down to where you joined the tail. And when you've sewn the tail up, you're going to bring up the sort of tail point up onto the back of the body. And just work a couple of little tiny stitches just to hold it sort of in place onto the body like a little bobtail. Just like that. Your next seam is joining the hind leg seam. So you need to get your hind leg seam marker together with your hind leg marker, the right sides together this time, and join from the markers right up to the split. So we're doing back stitch again, all the way up. Okay, so the next seam is the rear end seam. So you're going to get those hind leg markers. You're going to fold over the tail and you're going to join back stitch all the way up to the tail seam. And then the belly seam. So again, right sides together. Match the front markers all the way down to the hind leg markers, and you can see that it's like a sort of triangular angle here. And I mentioned the pattern, try not to get the angle too pointy. So you're going to try and sew the seam so you can just edge around it instead of sewing it like a right angle. You're just going to curve at that tip there as you sew that back seam with back stitches before. Hopefully you'll see what I mean when I turn it around the right way. Turn it through right way at the neck. Stuff all those yarn endings through into the body. Get them out of the way. And use some toy filling as well. It's sort of quite well stuffed, but I never like to overstuff my toys. Especially, I don't like to stuff them so much that it sort of distorts the knitting. I mean, that's a real no-no. And I don't know whether you can see that curved front, but it's certainly a rounder curve than it would be if you'd sewed it like a right angle. Now this is the next bit. You need to bring those front markers right up to the nose seam and just work a little stitch just to hold it in place. And then you're going to join the rest of that breast onto the sort of chin or neck. So ease that seam together very carefully and neatly. You want those little chubby cheeks to fall over the top of the neck bit. That gives it his little bunny face. Stuffing a little bit more if you need to into the body and the head before you close the second side. Now to work the face squish, and this is appropriate even if you have the eyes in place. So you'll pass a threaded sewing needle in one side of the head at the eye space to emerge at the other end of the side of the head at the other eye space. Leave a long length back in to the side you started. And out and then back in again. So what you should have is two loose ends either side of the head, and with those two loose ends pull up fairly tightly and squish the face. And that really is bunny face time. You can do the same with the nose as well if you like, or the mouth, just to squish in that mouth. I did it on some, not all of them, but I did it on some of them. So same process really. And that is phase 1 complete. So you can leave your bunny like this if you wish. It looks very cute, very sleepy little bunny, or just like a little bunny that's snuggled up and sitting down. Now if you want to add in extras, we move on to the next stage, which is adding the inner ears to your already knitted outer ears. Now for the inner ears, I've always used mohair yarn. I've never actually used any other type of yarn, so I'm not sure how that would work, but please give it a go if you wish. So you're going to start with the left ear, and you're going to pick up stitches all along the outer edge of the left ear, from the ear base all the way to the ear peak. And when you've picked up and knitted your stitches, you'll work on those stitches with a few rows, and then you'll do the other side of the ear. And instead of picking up from the base to the peak, you're going to start at the peak and work from the peak to the base, and work on those for side B. So you've got side A and side B already knitted, and you're going to join both of those sides along the straight edges, but you're going to leave the base row ends open. So fold together the right sides together and just join all the way along the straight edge and turn out to the right side. Pull out all those little yarn endings that are inside, as you don't want any padding at all in the ear. And then just fold together that little bottom edge of the ear at the base and just work a couple of little stitches just to sort of enclose the inner ear, like so. So you've got inner ears, you've got the ears, you've got the body, and you may wish to add forelegs and hind legs. For the forelegs, you're going to start sort of knitting that's on the breast, and it's just before that seam, that breast seam, and you're going to pick up and knit 4 stitches into the already knitted and stuffed body, like so. And then from that you're going to cast on stitches which will become the inside leg. So you're going to have 4 stitches on the one side of those picked up stitches, and then when you're on the knit side you're going to cast on 4 stitches on the knit side. When you've knitted your little leg, you're going to sew it together before you work the right leg. So fold together with the wrong side facing, and then match a seam all along that cast off edge, which is the little pores that you've made with the short rows, and the row ends all the way down to where you cast it on for the inside leg, but leave that bit open. So you stuff the leg through the open end. I just use yarn endings for the little legs, to be honest with you. And once you've stuffed, you're going to sew all the way around the cast on edges onto the breast. The seam is on the centre of the inside leg, so it faces inwards. And then you're ready to work the other leg as symmetrically as you can with the first leg. There's about an inch between those two front legs, and the hind legs is more like probably half an inch. For the hind legs, you're going to work 6 pickup stitches. So kind of start 6 stitches before the tail, because you want your last stitch at the tail. Almost on the same line as the forelegs. And one at the tail. And then as before, work on the hind legs. So you're going to cast on stitches either side of that those picked up stitches. And that's kind of an indication of where you'll place your second hind leg. They're quite close together on this one, and one of my other ones are a little bit farther apart, so it doesn't really matter as long as it looks right and as long as you're happy with the placement. Fiddle around with it. They don't take long to make. And there we have it. One very cute bunny. And thanks for watching.